Hello, I'm Billy with A-dec. Today I want to give you an overview of our A-dec 551 chair-mounted assistance instrumentation. First, let me show you how to adjust the instrumentation from left to right should you need to move it to the other side of the chair. At the bottom of the backrest, you'll notice a little knob. Simply loosen that knob to release the tension of that mechanism, and then move the unit to the other side of the chair and retighten the nut engaging the tension on that mechanism. Next, let's move over and talk about the vacuum canister. First, make sure the vacuum is turned off to the operatory. If the vacuum is not off, you likely won't be able to remove this cap from the canister. Remove the canister and observe the basket inside weekly. Replace as needed. Simply replace the canister by pulling it out and putting in a new one. When you put the lid back on, note that there's an opening on the front side of the lid. Always make sure that opening is faced out towards the vacuum lines. Also notice there's an O-ring on this lid, which should be lubricated monthly. If that O-ring dries out, you'll notice the vacuum canister will be hissing. Replace that O-ring as needed. As we continue to move up the instrumentation, this 551 is configured with a standard touchpad. It's important to note that not every unit is configured with this standard touchpad. Let's go ahead and discuss the basic functionality of the standard touchpad. On the A-dec standard touchpad, starting at the top left, you have a cuspidor bowl rinse. You have a light function. To turn the light on, simply press the light button one time. To navigate through the different intensities, press the button again for each intensity level. To turn the light off, press and hold the light. On the far right hand side, you have cup fill if you have a cuspidor. Then you have the arrows for manual chair adjustments. The up arrow moves the base of the chair up. Down arrow moves the base of the chair down. The left arrow will move the backrest of the chair forward, and the right arrow will move the backrest of the chair back. At the bottom of the touchpad, we have the presets. The first button is for the entry-exit position of the patient, operating position, backrest all the way up, and then a cuspidor position to allow the patient to utilize the cuspidor. To make adjustments to those presets, simply position the chair where you want it, press the program button in the middle of the chair, and press the position you want to remember. You'll hear 3 beeps indicating the setting has been successfully saved. Next, let's talk about the syringe. Your unit should have come with some A-dec manufactured syringe tips. A-dec syringe tips have 3 notches in the syringe tip. The first 2 will actually seat into 2 O-rings inside of the syringe. Simply push the syringe tip into the syringe, locking the syringe tip in place. The third notch is only a visual indicator. If you see the third notch on the syringe tip, then the syringe is not fully seated into the syringe. Simply apply pressure and seat the syringe tip fully into the syringe. If you're using a disposable syringe tip or another manufacturer's syringe tip, be sure that the syringe tip seats fully into the syringe. We recommend using a syringe nut to secure the syringe tip into the syringe, preventing it from dislodging during operation. Next, let's talk about the saliva ejector and the HVE. Both the saliva ejector and the HVE should be cleaned weekly. On both tubings, to remove the valve, simply push on the circle on the opposite side and remove. Notice on the saliva ejector, there's an O-ring inside of the handpiece as well as inside of the tubing. Be sure to clean and lubricate those weekly. Next, on the HVE, remove the handpiece from the tubing. Always check for the screen located inside of the HVE tubing. If there is no screen in the HVE tubing, be sure to replace the screen if it is missing. On the HVE, Be sure to remove the valve by pushing on the opposite side. Clean all the pieces with the provided bottle brush. Lubricate all the O-rings. There will be 2 O-rings on the valve, an O-ring on the tip of the HVE, and an O-ring at the bottom of the HVE, which is the connection back into the HVE tubing. Reinstall the valve. Note that on one side of the HVE there is a beveled side. Insert the valve from the beveled side. Reattach the HVE handpiece to the tubing. That concludes our video on our A-dec 551 assistance instrumentation. If you'd like to learn more, contact A-dec customer service or visit us online.